Welcome to Sister Chat, where we come together to connect, honor, advocate for, and teach one another. I'm Sister Sally Marie Bohnett, and today we're celebrating the boldness and creativity of women in business. I'm joined by two inspiring guests, Mandi Gineman, owner of So Beyond Blessed in Swanton, Ohio, and Suzanne Sobel, owner of Sylvania Graphics. These two women have poured their hearts into their work and their communities, and I can't wait for you to hear their stories. Mandi and Suzanne, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Well, let's get started. Mandi, how about we start with you?
Okay.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself
Sure.
and So Beyond Blessed? And what inspired you to start that business?
Sure. So I've always done a little bit of sewing. As a senior in my days in school, we still had home ec. So I fell in love with sewing then, as well as just kind of tinkering in my grandmother's sewing room in things that I probably shouldn't have been messing with. But she allowed me to kind of adventure into there. A few years into my high school years, my father gave me a sewing machine. And so I never stopped. I took apart sheets that I shouldn't have. And I just, I fell in love with quilting as a beginning. And then in my senior year, that summer, I applied for a job at a alteration shop. And I said, I don't know a lick about clothing, but I love to sew, and I know my way around a sewing machine, and I can sew a straight line. So teach me, and I just absorbed it all from there. So the passion started then. I continued sewing for family and friends, shifted careers a bit, but always came back to sewing, and the joy that it brings me is what kind of drew me into flash forward many years into 2020, when we all thought that the world might have been a little upside down. It kind of, for me, it was a moment to reflect within. I was blessed enough to be able to be at home with my child. And that was eye-opening to me. And I, right then and there, thought, if I'm going to go out, I want to go out doing what I love. And so I just 2 feet in said, let's do this. And it's been a roller coaster ever since. So that's my quick short story, I guess, if you will.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
As one who can only sew on a button, I am in awe.
Well, don't ask me to bake you a cake because I cannot do that. So we all have something, right?
That's true.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Suzanne, what about you? Can you tell us about Sylvania Graphics and what prompted your venture into business?
My creative journey started when I was a kid. I was probably a couple years old, and I was drawing and painting. My mother was very creative. She was the type of person that she'd make greeting cards and sort of Christmas cards for the family, murals she'd paint for friends and relatives. And I just loved the idea with the supplies that she would bring home. Couldn't wait to get my hands on them. So I decided to start drawing. I loved it, found such joy at drawing. And when I was about 5 years old, I set up a box on my parents' front lawn. And I started selling my artwork for a penny a piece. And the neighbors would come and they would buy the artwork. And if I didn't have what they wanted, I would say, tell me what you want, I'll make it for you. So it was art on demand at the age of 5. And just really, really loved it. Just found it very fulfilling. Continued to draw all through my education, elementary school and high school. And I was very fortunate to have friends and a support group who really allowed me to do projects for them. And nuns, sisters, who were very supportive. Franciscan and Sisters of Notre Dame were my teachers. As time went on, I decided I wanted to be an artist. I wanted to take this into a career, but the economy took a tank. when I went out to look for my first real job. And agencies were suffering. So I decided I'll enter the corporate world, which I did. And quite frankly, that was probably the best decision. That taught me so much about, in general, how a business is run, how you should handle yourself, handle people. And it really was a blessing in disguise. Did that for about 8 years. Had our daughter Sarah. We were living in a house in Sylvania, and we had an office in the house. And I thought this would be, I can, like you, stay home with my daughter, and I can do what I love to do best. It's time. And that's where Sylvania Graphics started, in a home office, with Sarah at my side helping out.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, as one who can draw only stick figures, I am also in awe of you with what you can do. Oh, I can't imagine running a business takes immense talent, courage, and a whole lot of hard work. Can you think of maybe one of the biggest challenges that you have faced as a business owner? And we'll hear from both of you. So,
Goodness, there's a lot. I think in my particular industry, it is very fashion motivated. And sometimes I think the biggest challenge that I get is this is not an industry that a lot of people do anymore. Sewing in general, a lot of people are doing it. Specifically when it comes to clothing. And then I take it up a notch and I specialize in bridal. So for me, the biggest, I think, challenge that I have is that oftentimes people will come in and with fast fashion comes a lower price tag on things. And so people will come in and say, oh my gosh, I pay more, I paid less for the dress than what I have here. And they're not understanding the hours of intricate work that goes into it. So I would say, and I hate to talk about those things, but if I were to be completely honest, I think that is our biggest challenge, is just daily figuring out the best way to educate our clients and help them feel their best in whatever the garment is, whether it was $5 from an online market or $5,000 from a beautiful boutique. That is I just want them. So I try to educate them. I try to approach every single consultation with a open door. So I would much rather a young lady or a man, but women walk in and decide that in front of my big beautiful mirror with a little education, maybe they don't need anything done. It fits them just as it should. I would rather have a great conversation and see you next time than to just get the dollar. And so, but I think that is our biggest challenge, and it is fast fashion in my world, and just kind of creating that value, I guess, is what I'm trying to circle around and say, and just, it's rough out there. Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Suzanne, what about you?
Well, I agree with Mandi completely. It is to relate to clients how much time goes into the product. Because in our industry, everything is done on the computer. It's digital. I started out during an age when everything was done on boards, and now it's digital. So clients quite often feel that things can get done quicker and cheaper, but a lot of time and effort goes into it. So I understand completely what you're talking about. The other thing is predicting future demands of your business. That is really something that's a challenge for us every day. We face that, and now with AI, it's what do you do? How do you adapt to that change? How much of that do you bring into your business? And it's a daily challenge, but you deal with it, and you sit down with your team and take time just to really rethink what you want to do with the business, with all the challenges that you have. For us, for me as a business owner, but for us as a team, maintaining a positive focus and outlook is probably the main thing. Don't lose your cool. Just really maintain a calm, positive outlook as you face these challenges. And then you will either work them out or you will have to switch and make other choices. Having trusted advisors, that's another, you need to have people that you can talk to, people you can bounce ideas off of. I'm very fortunate. I have a very loving family that I discuss business with. They are all a part of the Sylvania team. And it's so important to surround yourself with people that you can talk about the intimate details of your business, you know. The other big challenge is you have to look at what's happening on a daily basis in the economy too, but also what's going on with your competitors. You don't want to emulate the competitors, but you certainly do want to keep tabs on what's going on with them. And one thing as a business owner, you have to be prepared to pivot.
Yeah.
You gotta be prepared to pivot.
Very much.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That really gives one cause to think. It's just not going to work every day and doing what you're trained to do, but you have all those different aspects that you have to look at. How about something special? Like Mandi, I imagine in creating and sewing that you've done, is there any one project or incident that has just been real special to you?
I think I think they're all a little special, I think would be the right way to say something. But I think my favorite things to do, if I were to spin it that way, would be I absolutely love taking something and turning it into something else. So my training is in alterations. I'm not a dressmaker. So I'm not one that I don't love the idea of drawing something, and it just really stresses me out. But what I do love is taking grandma's dress or mom's dress and transforming that into something a bit more modern, or in the new bride's vision. And so I just love doing projects like that. We've done some recently that I took it apart and made it a little cocktail dress for her second look. And with all that extra train, we're creating a Christmas tree skirt and a little clutch for her to carry. So so things like that, I think, are just a lot of fun. Yeah.
Oh, that's neat. That's great. And then Suzanne, I think of a brand. I was telling you, I wore this today because it's a brand. Like, what is it for you to help a company or person to bring their brand to life? Why is it important?
Well, let's start with this. My favorite part of the process is collaborative mentoring. I love collaborating with the client. I love mentoring the client. I love the process that through all phases of the design, whether we're doing a logo or anything else, it's that relationship you build with the client. You know, you've discussed
Absolutely.
it. It's very important to you. It's very important to us. We really want to make sure the client is happy with the final product. And probably like with you also, Mandi, sometimes what the client wants in the beginning is not necessarily what you end up in the end.
It evolves, sure.
It evolves, yes. And if you go through that process of working with the client, building that relationship, asking a lot of questions, we do something which I like. And we say to a client, I'm going to give you a questionnaire, and if you could fill these out, and it's information about the client, what their likes are, dislikes, and just, about 3 pages worth of questions. It's amazing what you'll find out about the client.
Sure.
And it really helps in the process. but love all phases of the design process, but certainly the mentoring and collaborating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's great.
that's the strength.
What about if someone wants to start their own business?
Ooh.
What advice might you give a woman?
Mm.
Maybe just to start out, what would be the first step?
Oh, that's tough. I think to kind of tap into what you were saying, I think having a support system, a solid support system.
Absolutely.
You can have any business plan you want for any business, and it's all of the unknowns that you want to be prepared for, but you just cannot be. And I think that falling back on your family and your friends and that support system, whether it be professionally or that is huge. I don't think I could not do what I'm doing if I didn't have the support, you know, from internally in my house and outward. So I think that your team is much bigger than what's just inside your business store. Because you cannot prepare yourself for that. For that, sometimes I think that's the biggest thing. Mm-hmm.
And you've both used that word team. It's like you have to have
It's
a
a
team.
must.
Absolutely,
It's a must. And and sometimes people say, my employees, and use other terms. You have to be a team.
Yeah.
They have to know that every person is as important, because business owner is only as good as their team.
Correct.
That's right.
Yeah, that could be a little phrase that you put over your desk or something to remember.
Well, it's true. You're
But it's
only
true.
as good as the people that surround you,
That's
whoever your
right.
team is.
Yeah.
Your
That's
team
great.
can be far more than your company.
Absolutely.
And it can be your vendors. And these are people that support you. But what I would say to someone that's starting a business, if I may go back to that, really define what your purpose is, what you would like to do. What is your interest? Mandi, you had an interest and you went for it. I had an interest. If you have something and that interest keeps popping up in your mind on a regular basis, maybe you should do something about it.
Yes.
Maybe you should make an attempt to try it out. Find a mentor to talk to, whether it be a family member, a friend, maybe somebody else who owns a business, but find somebody to talk to and ask them, about their business and what it took to get started. Tell them what you want to do. But again, find a trusted friend or a mentor, okay? And the other thing is, write a business plan. I am not a proponent of writing long business plans. I'm a proponent of doing, the cliff notes just to get you started, to know where you'd like to go and what kind of finances you have and what kind of clients you would like to get. That's another thing. Start small. I mean, we all looking for grand. We all hope that we're one step away from greatness, but you need to start small and keep your arms around the business. That's one thing that's very important. And as time goes on, you'll know for sure if you should be growing your business. We talked about having a trusted support network. The other thing is, not everyone goes out for funding, but if you need to, really find someone to talk to, a financial person about that. Just, don't immediately go to a loan officer. Find someone that's going to help you and find ways that you can get that funding if you're not self-funding.
That's great. Well, before we close, what's one thing you'd like to leave with our viewers? How that would inspire them to use their gifts in whatever path that they do.
Goodness, these are kind of intense. I can say that I personally went in. I had hoped that I would be a successful seamstress. I had hoped that I would open my doors and my community would come in with needs of buttons and things. And the way that it has grown has just absolutely blown my mind. But I think the biggest thing that has helped is that I was taught by he was actually a former boss, but he was actually more than that. And he was very much a mentor. And a lot of things that I learned from working in his business, and everything takes a time, or it has a place in time. And it gave me opportunities that, you know, I just couldn't have done if I was running a business at that time. But one of the big things that he told me at some point in time, and it wasn't even talking about business in particular, but he would mention that we can't be everything to everyone. We have to choose something that we love and be everything to someone. And I have taken that to the heart, and it replays because it's very challenging sometimes to want to always say yes to everything. And that's not always what's healthy, whether it be for the business or for, you know, whatever it may be. And so I think that is my, I guess, biggest advice is just find something that you're truly passionate about and stick with that. And there's going to be all these subcategories, and it's okay if you don't tackle those. It's okay to say no sometimes, and just really hone in on what you can be to someone.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Suzanne?
I would say to anyone who's in business or just starting out, you learn more from your failures than you do from your successes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So be fearless. And there's a prayer I say every morning, and it is, God, please lead me on the path I was meant to take.
Oh, wow. I like
And that is something, you know, keep the right mindset. And this is something you really want to do. Pursue it. Write your own story.
Yeah. Oh, great way. Great way to end. You know, it reminds us that we have gifts, women have gifts, and with determination, we can step forward and do amazing things. So we thank you for sharing your time, your experience, your talents with us today. And thank you for joining us for this edition of Sister Chat. May these stories encourage you to dream big, work hard, and remember that your gifts can bless the world. We'll see you next time. Until then, take care of yourself and each other.